Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to talk about an EA that is actually cashing in both when the price goes up and when the price goes down. It is basically not a full-fledged hedging EA. It's close enough. The name in itself is the Edge EA. It's an expert Forex robot. It's not a brand new one. It was actually introduced back in 2024. This is also the time where we started to test this one. And it has certainly produced some very, very good results because, as we said, it cashes in no matter the direction of the trends on the Forex market. It can obviously also trade a lot of different currency pairs. We're going to have a look exactly how that works here today and also how to set this particular one up. Now, the individual EA here is a grid trading robot, and we have made a lot of videos here lately regarding this. Basically, from the beginning, we are looking into how to set up the grid, and that is very important to understand some of the numbers that we're going to give you here today. We're also going to have a look at the grid sizing itself and the lot sizing to make sure that your account is not blown. And all of these things, I definitely suggest, if you haven't watched them already, that you go and watch these two videos on the screen here. I'll make sure they are also in the video description below, because these are the standard, the basic settings that you need in order to get the right thing out of this particular robot. And some of the tools that we have in here also for the grid trading, we have managed to go over those in these two particular videos in here. So that is basically the size of the grids that we have determined in here. We have 28 different currency pairs that we are tracking to see if anything is expanding, if we have to expand the net itself in here. And then we apply that to the individual EAs, not just this particular EA. We also explain in those videos here about your lot sizes. That has to pretty much match with your grid size in order not to blow your account. And if you have done that, at least you have the basic settings here now that you can sleep at night. You feel fairly safe. Obviously, the Forex market always has a way of surprising us no matter what, but at least you are very well prepared when you have watched these two videos, understand exactly how these things are going. So what are the rest of the video here all about? It is basically what we're going to backtest, because some of the standard things that I've just mentioned here before, they're already set. It's going to be very, very easy tutorial to tell you exactly how to set this particular one up. And also we're going to show you which ones to backtest, because we normally break it down in a couple of elements in order to better understand the settings and also see the systematics behind it itself. So which ones are the good and stable settings, and not last week lotto numbers, because we are interested in settings that can work well over time. And some of those settings, well, they produced these results in here. Obviously, these are the top 5 for the month of April. This is the best thing this particular EA has ever done. We know that April was a very volatile month due to all the tariff talks around the world, and particularly coming out of US in here. So you can see it's cashing in on an average of these top 5 EAs that we have here with 44.9%. And this is just for 1 month. This is not what you should expect every single month, but it's a very good indicator of, even though the market are trending, this particular EA will be cashing in, and that's what we're going to have a look at here today. Now, with any EA, you might have a lot of settings, and you will see them also on your screen here for the Edge EA. There's quite a few settings in here, so it can look a bit overwhelming, but we're going to go through it step by step. Some of the ones are actually standard set up, so you don't even have to backtest all of these ones. As I mentioned, we are going to test the Expert Forex, the Edge EA, and this is version 5 of that particular EA. There has been some updates for pretty much all of the grid trading robots over the time, and that has only improved this particular one. If you're setting up your own EA, I suggest you set it up with long and short positions. Of course, we want to have both in there. You also allow the live trading, otherwise you're not going to trade anything at all. Allow the DLL imports in here and allow imports of external experts, and that should get your robot started. But first we have to look at the settings, and as I mentioned, there is quite a few in here There's a lot of text on the left hand side that sort of kind of guides you through what it is that you need to do and set up in here. Same thing with up and down, 1 or 2, whatever it is. And the main settings that is pretty much set from the beginning based on the 2 first videos that I mentioned in the beginning here. So is that you have to figure out what currency pair you are actually doing, because that's where the price gap comes in. It depends very much on how volatile the currency pair you want to trade is. And in this particular case, we go back to the tool that I showed in the beginning on the currency pairs. That will then give me exactly the price gap that I need to put in this particular case. It is 72. And then the next part is the gap scaling start. So that means when we are building the grid, so if the price goes against us in here, then when are we going to start opening up the grid? Because if we leave it at 72, there's a big chance we're going to blow our account. So the gap scaling always starts at 1. So that is also set. You don't have to backtest that. We have done a lot of years of testing, and these numbers here seems to work for most currency pairs and most EAs when you are talking about grid trading. The next part is the gap scaling rate that you have in here. And that also means that 120% is actually 20%. You're opening up the grid. So you're starting off with 72. The next grid will then be 72 plus the 20. And then as you go along, it will continue to increase with 20%. That's what makes it a lot more safe, and making sure also that if you are running into a long trend, that you open up your grid at the end of the day. Now, the lot for the initial trade entry also is also set, and that is also part of the first videos that I have made. And again, for the initial trade, normally for a $1,000 account, we don't suggest you go over 0.03 lot in here. If you have a $10,000 account, then the lot size shouldn't be higher than 0.3. Again, these are explained in my other videos. Then the top up lot multiplier. In here, we don't do the same lot all the time. We actually slowly but surely increase it. It will give a higher drawdown overall. But when the price action is actually reversing again, having it at 1.1, so 10% increase per grid for the lot size, will make sure that you don't have to travel that far back to the original price before the entire grid or basket will actually cash in. So those are the very important points in here, and those are the data that is always set. We are basically using those numbers for every single one, not just the HEA. The ones in green is a special hedge trade management that the HEA has, so allow buy and sell the same pair at the same time. And again, you set it up for buy and sell is allowed. You also have an opportunity here for the hedge lot multiplier. You can actually increase it or decrease it. We just keep it the same level as we have up here in yellow. So we don't really want to mess around with that. Portfolio, so re-entry after closure. Obviously, we want to have it continued trading, so re-entry allowed. And then pairs to trade. Normally here we put it on the chart, so that means we just trade one currency pair on each. We are not bunching them up. If we do, then we could take the individual ones and put them on individual charts. We are not doing one chart with 4 or 5 different currency pairs, because the settings for each, as I mentioned, is different, and that also gives the best results at the end of the day, so we won't change that. The last part is the pruning, so start pruning at trade counts, and this particular one is also 8. So this is again standard for all the grid trading that we are doing. We don't want to have the pruning starting too early. That means then that the price action has to come almost all the way back to the initial part. We want to have a bit of drawdown, and if it goes beyond 8, so be it, we can prune again. But the rest of it, we want to leave it at a high number. And if you do it at 4, that means it could be a long time before the individual basket actually closes. So the first section that we then want to test in here, we go on the strategy tester. And this is normally the value that we have at the end of the day. And we're going to try and get to that one. The other one we have is on the start button up here. So basically we say we want to test, and we're going to start off with the direction of initial trade, same as trade direction, and the other one is the reverse in here. So we want to try and do both of them, either or. So there's only two options in here. Then the EA is running with MA periods, and we're going to start off with 2 and then steps of 2 up until 40. So that's normally the range that we want to use. And then MA method and apply to, we simply keep it simple in here, and close pricing. No need to change those particular ones here. And then we have the MA shift. Again, we are testing from 2 with the step of 2, and from here we are just testing up until 20. Those are the settings that we normally know. It will fall within that particular range, and then we're gonna basically run the EA. So normally the setup, I bunched everything up so we can have the strategy tester in one particular one. If you have an initial deposit, so if you are testing with a $1,000 account, you set it up. Otherwise, you set it up for 10,000, 5,000, whatever it is that you want to test. So you are getting the right numbers, especially on the drawdown percentage also. So you understand this particular one here. We want to again test long and short positions, optimize parameters. We keep it at balance. And then you have the generic algorithm, which normally picks out some of the best ones in here, not all of them. And I only suggest that you use, as it says here, for the first time testing, you can click and use the generic algorithms in here just to get an idea of where you're supposed to be. That basically does the run for you a lot faster than it would normally do, but you are not necessarily getting all the options. We would like to see all the options, the good and the bad ones, so we know in which direction we have to go. So only use this particular one for your initial setup in here. So testing again, long and short, and then obviously you can click the genetic algorithm in here, and that will help you get some very quick results. The second part here is you obviously have to pick the right EA. So this is the Expert Forex, the HCA. Make sure you have that. We are testing the New Zealand CAT here today. So that's also very, very important. What is even more important is that we have to use tick data. Most of the stuff that comes from your brokers are not really accurate enough to do all the testing behind the scenes. So this particular little bucket down here, that is actually a program that you can enter, and this costs, I believe at the moment, about $30 per month to get this particular one. But you want to have this to have the most accurate basic calculations from all your back trading in here. If you don't have that, you're not going to get the right results. You're not going to get the right settings in here. So this is a very, very important point. Use the data. What we normally do is we only spend a bit more than 6 months of back testing. I know other people like to use a year, 2 years, 10 or 20 years. But the fact is here that the Forex market continues to change. It normally has trending statuses for individual currency pairs, somewhere between 4, 6, or even 8 times, depending on what the markets and what is happening in the world. So the settings, they will change over time. So there's no real point of going too far back in history. So if you want to try and find some good stable settings, most probably they're not going to make you a lot of money in the first place. You want to be in the current market with similar market situations. And from there on, you should be able to get some decent settings in here. It will also help, of course, the timeline. So if you don't test for more than what we have in here from early September 2024 up until 1st of June 2025, that is a reasonable time to test. And most probably you even had 2 or 3 different things happening. We know that definitely in the past. A lot of things happened in 2024 on the US dollar and also Swiss francs, but that lies right out of the September one. That was back in August. And since then we had the trade wars, which affected Canadian currency pairs, US currency pairs, and obviously also Great British pounds and euros. So do yourself a favor, don't test too far back. And basically the tick data setting, you have to click this. So once you have installed that particular program here, you get the option to use the tick data. We are running this on a 15-minute charts, and we normally also run with a spread of 5. Then we do the optimization in here. And what we are also using the optimization is actually we have servers, so VPSs, to make sure that we have good and stable not only power for the computers, but also internet connections. We do have some power cuts here where I am. So the best part is normally get what I normally run here, the VPS Forex Trader. So I've been using those now for 3 or 4 years. So a very long time, and they are always extremely stable. I'm also using some of the back testing, especially over the weekends when we don't have trading. I do the testing straight on the servers in here to try and get the best results that I can out of it, and that really works well. I'll make sure that there's a link to that particular one in here. I really like them because everything is running extremely smooth. The other part is obviously you need to have a good broker. As we said, the broker data, even for IC Market Global in here, that is not good enough. You need to use the tick data at the end of the day. A lot of good things can be said about our IC Markets Global, but when it comes to the data and the back testing, so the tick data is definitely the way that you have to go. So once we're done on the MT4 platform, we have all the results. We basically copy paste them over to an Excel, because that way it's a lot easier for us to actually see what's going on. And what you have here is all the runs that has been done. So basically doing the first run, second run, third one, etc. So this is 200, 300, so on and so on. The next part here is the profits that has come in. So what the EA will have out of it. We'll also see how many trades that are in there. And this is then also the drawdown, the maximum drawdown that you have in here. What we normally do is we create a column in here with a percentage, basically taking the drawdown versus the profits. And then we get a percentage in here. We then want to have the lowest one. In this particular case is actually quite high. It's 91%. We normally want to have it at 10 or 20, but this is a random test that we are doing, and it's good to show not always the best results, but give you a bit of an idea of these results can happen. Are they still okay? And which ones are you supposed to pick? And you can see that we are testing the trade direction. We have 1 for reverse, and down here we have 0, and that is for same direction. Then we have the MA period, as you can see here, and the MA shift. So all these items, these are the ones we are testing. Now it's basically having a look at this individual graph and figure out exactly how we are going to try and figure out heads and tails in this particular one, because as you see, there's a lot of numbers in here. But what we normally try to do, especially on the HCA, the MA shift that we do, we normally want to try and calculate that and then mark them up with individual colors that we have. You can see you have MA shift of 16, you have here with 18, 14. So do yourself the favor, try and put in the MA shift, do the individual colors for 16, 18, 14, so on and so on. We have cheated a bit to try and show you exactly how this shows up, because it's a lot easier graphically to have a closer look and see which ones are actually working and not. Now we want to always try to be in the middle and still have some reasonable results. What we see here is there's a lot of MA shift, normally going from 14 all the way up to 20, and obviously we're only testing up to 20. We can already see that 20 is actually dropping down. We can see our MA period in here. It looks like all of the ones are in reverse. So again, that looks to be the main setting, so that one is easy enough. Now it's just have to pair them up. So again, we mark them up in here. We can even see that we have also a MA shift of 12. We can give that another color, so let's give that one a blue. Let's see if there's more 12 in here. No, that's all the way down to, yeah, that's a different one. So again, that one is not really working. We have also other 18s. So again, you don't want to go down past the 12. And obviously 20 is also further down the list. You can also see that the drawdowns is actually going up. So with the MA shift being too high in here, and that means that it's either going to be 14 in here, but I will suggest, so you have 14, you have MA period, 36, 38, and you have 40 in here. So again, either you want to take 278, so that particular run in here, and use that shift, or as we would do, 16 is pretty much in the middle here from 12 up to 20. It also provides the better results. So again, MA period 36, 38, and 40. Then we would basically take this particular one here and say, okay, over that period of time, the EA is going to create about $341 for us. It has 182 trades in that particular part, and the maximum drawdown that we will have at that point is 311. So that is not too bad. On a $1,000 account, it's about 31%. And that is certainly a lot better than the 500. You want to make sure that no matter the settings, you are not getting drawdowns over 1,000, because then you blow your account already at about 800. You want to make sure that all of them can be below. So these are the worst case scenarios. But this one looks to be a good one. Obviously, we would like to have a bit more profits, and that's what the next trading is all about. So this was the entry. So to the trades themselves, when we are starting to open up the trading. So the next part is we're going to have a closer look at is basically how to get out of it again, how much take profit we're going to have. So with the take profit, there's actually two options in here for this particular EA. The first one here is the initial take profits. In this particular case, it's set up to 58. What we normally want to test is from 10 with a step of 2, and then going all the way up to 70 for the stop. Now this is for individual trades, so that means that when the trade actually goes in the right direction, then when that one reaches somewhere between the 10 and 70, then it cashes in, and then you close the trade off and you wait for the next one in here. What we have is the pair target. So that means that once we have more than one open trade, so when the trade actually goes against us, we open a second one with increased grid, slightly higher lot size in here. Then that becomes a basket of trades, anything over 2. And again, we want to have that, and these ones are in pips. So these are not dollars, so these are in pips. And from our perspective on most of the EAs that we have, we normally test them from 5 pips with a range of 1 pip in between up until about 16. We don't want to have it too big because we want to make sure that the basket closes as quickly as possible. But again, we also need a bit of a profit at the end of the day. Most of the time, the standard is 7. 7 will work for a lot of the EAs as a standard setting, but we like to double check if we can just squeeze a bit more out of it. But we have to be careful also not to try and squeeze too much out, so we end up with even bigger drawdown instead of closing off the trades. So the next part we'll do is obviously test those 2 individual parts. That will be even faster, because before we had 3 we wanted to test at the same time as entry part. Now we want to see how we can get the multiple dollars in here with the biggest profits, and how we can actually get out of both the one and the multiple basket trades in here. We're going to set up everything again. As I mentioned, you have to use the tick data. We do the optimization, and then once the test is actually done, we're going to copy everything from the MT4 platform over to our Excel and see if we have actually managed to squeeze just a bit more profit out of this particular EA. So we copy over the details again here from the MT4 platform, similar to what we had before. We have the individual runs here. We have the profits, and the profits we have to beat is again the 340 that we had here before. You can see the top ones. It looks like around 402 in here. We have about trades, 116, 120, so somewhere between 100 and 140, depending on, again, the takes profits we have in here. We can see the drawdowns. So some of the drawdowns is actually also looking better. Before we had just over 300. Now we can get them down to 200. So that's good to see. Again, we sort everything we have in here. Same way, we take the drawdown versus the profits. You're now seeing that we have actually improved some of the numbers. They were in the 90s before. There still are definitely some of them, but the rest is actually improved quite a bit. We have the take profits in here that we are searching for, and the closed pips on the basket trades itself. So these are the ones that we are now trying to find the right numbers in here. You'll also notice that the trade direction and the MA period, so all of them are obviously the same. That's the settings we found here just before. And we also have the MA shift and the gaps. So the MA shift of 16 and we have the gap of 72. Again, I'm cheating a bit here. So to basically put in the right colors, what I normally do here is sort it out after we have the percentage up here. So we have the best ones, profit versus drawdown, and then mark up the take profits in here. So taking all the 56s, so put them in yellow. We have a few in here. There's about 3. Obviously, we would like a few more sometimes. And then we have also the orange. And again, that is 58. So that's good. They are lying next to each other. And then it looks like we have some different ones. We have 26, we have 34. We also have a couple of 16 down here. And again, there only seems to be 2 of these. We can notice that the search area that we did, remember that's from 10 to 70. So 70 down here we marked up also. That still works, even 70, 15 that we have. So that is at the outer edge of it. But obviously it is not the best profit. So that means that the search area we have is pretty okay. And then we have a couple of ones in the green here also. The take profit is around the 50 mark. So the rest is quite spread, 18, 22, 34. So it doesn't look like there's much of a pattern in here. All we can see is that there's a couple of 50s here. That is good. 70 is also good. The question is, which ones are we going to take? We only have here 3 of the 56s. We want to rather have something in here on the 58s. And if we have a look at the numbers, we can see that the close pips of 5 will work together with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we seem to have a skip where it now comes into 15 here. So again, you don't want to go so that 15, we have that as a bit of an oddball. I wouldn't count too much on that based on what we have here. So we'll take that out of the equation. And basically you can now either set it for 7, which is the standard as you'll see in here. That will give you 315 with a drawdown of 204. We believe we can go slightly higher, but we should be at least 2 away from the maximum number in here. So close pips of 12, we want to go down to either 10 or you can go down to 9. I believe I marked this particular one up. So this is the setting that we have chosen, 149. Again, even though you pick this particular one here, doesn't mean that once you actually run your real life account, that particular setting gives more than this one. This is just a bit more of a safe and secure area where we know that 5 to 12 actually works. And we want to again try and put it somewhere in the middle of it. And it's up to you exactly where it is, but at least 2 or 3 away from the maximum before the price actually drops. You could see also 15 was the one that was the lowest one. So, and that also had a drawdown versus profits of about 80, where the rest here actually are 70. Some of these are the best ones in here with about 55. So squeezing from 340 now with the changes in here up to 370 and a drawdown of 204. And those are the settings that I wanted to use to make sure that things are working okay. And you can then, if you want to, you can actually run the same test again to see if you can again make sure that you have more than one entry that actually shows up. You don't want to take individual one like the 26 here. If you don't see anything else in the list, you want to have at least 3 in order to see a bit of a series. And then, as I mentioned, try and take the average ones in here. You are not looking for last week lotto numbers. You want to have a range where you can see that this setting works over time, that one works over time, and then obviously try and pick the best ones, still with a very good profit and drawdown percentage that we have in here. So good settings. Yes, we would like to have a bit more profit out of it, but that sometimes depends a bit on the currency pair that we are testing. So with those simple test results in here, I then hope that you can now learn how to do this yourself. You can basically break down this particular EA in entry points and exit points, and basically run the MT4 platforms in here, get the data over in the Excel, just do this small calculation to see the best settings that you will get out of it. And if this is too complicated, there is another way, of course. We have all these EAs also on the coupling service, but at least that gives you a very, very good idea of how we actually setting up the EAs, how we are finding good and stable settings over long periods of time, not just for a week or two. That is the important part. Obviously, as the settings are changing together with the Forex market landscape in here, as trending or basically trading sideways, we are trying to constantly update the settings in here based on what you've just seen today. So what is your next step? Well, I suggest that we head over to the High Tech Investment website, and I'll show you exactly where to go from there. So the High Tech Investment website is a great place to get started because all our videos are obviously on YouTube, but they're also on our website. So everything is summed up in one place. If you can't find it through YouTube, it is definitely worth coming by here. You'll also notice that we have the latest news report where we are normally covering every single week the pros and cons of our trading and other trading platforms that we have. In here, you'll see all the individual EAs, what kind of profits that have been made either on a weekly and sometimes also on a monthly basis here. We have the latest and recommended videos for you. So this is the video we did last week, similar to what we are doing now, a tutorial on the bell trader. And then you can go to the portfolio up here. You'll see all the individual EAs that we are currently involved in, and a few other trading platforms. If you click on the HCA that we have in here, it will provide you with some more details and information of what this EA is all about. You can see some of the trading results we have up here. You'll have a bit more on the details of the robot, some of the currency pairs that we are actually using in here. You'll have the weekly returns. So sometimes, obviously, it will go down, and then you will have a good week like week 21 here, $181 for 5 accounts, again $1,000 accounts. More details and information, and then these are the videos also that I explained. Is a very important thing for the Forex grid trading to be explained in here, and the gap and lot sizes that is needed. So these two are going together with the video that we are actually looking at right here today. You have the monthly profits also for them, and we normally cover 4 months back. Then we have the FX Blue on the site here. If you want to have more details on this, you can go and click this particular link. It will give you the entire portfolio. If you want to have a look at the individual currency pairs, then these are the ones that we are currently trading. Some are on the coupling service, as I mentioned here before. We'll add a few more, but we are now converting them from 10,000 into 1,000 accounts instead. So that is going to happen in the next month or two. So we need also a bit of summer vacation in between, but we are definitely getting this particular one done. And then you have a link also showing you Expert Forex that we're going to head over there to see exactly what is happening on the coupling service. And what you do here then is you click link to success. You will find the individual EAs down here, robots, individual prices. So if you want to buy that one, then you can go here, get that done. We're here today to link to success. So if you click this particular one, you will get the next menu, and that will explain a bit more about how this actually works, how you can link up to other traders. There is more than just ourselves in this particular one in here. So a lot of details and information, some account that is being changed also from 10,000 into 1,000 accounts. There is the Excels showing you also how well some of these are doing at the moment. You can see below are the robots used. So we have the HCA right up here, and then you can see all the other ones that have also joined the copy link service in here. The second one is the account risk analysis Excel, and you'll notice that all the links that we have here ending with C, you can click on those, and you can obviously also sort them out. We have quite a few, as you'll notice in here, that are doing extremely well with good profits, low drawdowns. That's what it's all about. So these are our particular signals, and then you have more details and information as you scroll down the list in here for the copy link service, how some of these items work. And if I just continue to do it here, useful links to accounts videos. Basically, the way you get started is you join the premium forum. Then you have 3 demo accounts, again, that you can select. Download the receiver robot. So that is the one that basically copy the trades over. You can install that and then load it onto the charts. Then anything will start, and you have those first 3 services for free. After that, you can buy additional licenses in here. So there's not a limit. Unlimited access here is about $60 per month. So obviously, again, if you're planning on a higher investment, then that is definitely the way to go. There is a few guarantees in here, and then start to success, how to join the club, and obviously a disclaimer in here. So as you can see, the HCA seems to be a very simple, very straightforward robot in here that has settings that most of them is already set in place if you use our particular system in here. And if you think, again, if this is too difficult, it's too time consuming, then simply head over to Expert Forex copy link service and try and find the right links that you want to have in here. As I mentioned, we have a few for the HCA. Otherwise, simply diversify and get individual robots, individual currency pairs, things like this to spread your risk over time. Because don't forget, you and you alone are responsible for your own trading at the end of the day. So you have to make sure that it is safe, secure, and you also are not trading with money that you actually need for your kids' education or food, anything like that. But I wanted to give you a good insight of how easy it is to set these particular EAs up. Some are getting very discouraged because there's a lot of settings. I just made it simpler with some simple basic rules that we have built up in here. They are working. I showed you the results, and profits are coming in every single week, every single month, and hopefully also every single year. That is the whole idea. In one of my future videos, I'm going to show you also how to build a portfolio. But for first, we have to go through the EAs to make sure that you fully understand how these are set up, how it is that we are actually trading these particular EAs. So even though you're on the copy link service, you have a very good idea of how high-tech investment is actually dealing with risk management. So I hope you like this video. Please give us a thumbs up, a like, and maybe also a comment if there's something you would like to see in one of my future videos. Until then, otherwise, I hope to see you around on one of my other videos. Bye-bye.